Hi, I'm Alastair Hay, and I help people get well and I help people stay well using homeopathic medicines, and I'm known as Homeopathical. You can find me at homeopathical.com, and I do home visits mostly in West Kent, Surrey, West Sussex, Hampshire, which is where I live, and sometimes going into South London. What I'd like to talk to you about today is how do we actually deal with clients that have got a multitude of health issues? Because most of the people I see have that. I suppose what you have to be is, it's a bit like being a symptom detective. You have to look more deeply at someone's symptoms, where they've come from, when they first started, and put it all together, because it's the person that's got the problem rather than just looking at the problems themselves. I suppose the bottom line is what you're actually trying to look at and find is, what is it in this person that, unless sorted out, is going to keep giving rise to problems? Because unless you deal with that, they're just going to have more and more problems, either added on top of what they've got or instead of what they've got. It's like healing the soil in which someone's symptoms are built without suppressing them. That means pushing it deeper. So to give you an example, imagine, probably need to think of an example, a 15-year-old girl, teenage girl, wanted help with asthma mainly. That was the main thing she came to see me about. And she's had that about 4 years, and it's getting worse. The things that made her asthma worse included things like exercise. It's worse in winter, although I saw her in the summer when she's got some hay fever symptoms as well. It's worse in the damp, and worse with mold spores. Her house that she lived in was a little bit damp, but things like that would make her asthma worse. Her asthma's more sort of spasmodic rather than gungy, for want of a better phrase. That's the word that she used. It would be very wheezy and tight. Some people have that, but they're also quite mucousy as well. She's got a family history of autoimmune diseases, that sort of stuff, allergies. She also gets IBS type symptoms, and wheat and dairy make her symptoms worse, make her guts and her breathing worse, and it used to affect her skin. She used to have eczema, and that she grew out of that when she was about 10, so 5 years before she started to get asthma symptoms. That was treated with topical steroid medications, hydrocortisone based or type of creams, and sometimes an antibiotic would be introduced into that cream as well if it got infected. She's also claustrophobic, especially in things like tunnels. She's never been on a tube train, on the underground, and she doesn't like lifts unless the lift has, I've seen those lifts that are just glass. There's one near where she lives that's a glass lift. She'll go in that one, but she won't go one in the car park that has no windows. But I think what was really interesting about this girl was that when she was born, the umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck twice. So effectively, when she was being birthed or born, she was being strangled, and her mother described the birth as being, well, difficult. She didn't want to go into too much detail in front of her daughter, but ultimately it was difficult. But nonetheless, live birth, everything like that was fine. And that's interesting from my perspective, because imagine that point where you're coming into the world, you're being strangled. It's a tunnel. You have no memory of it, no actual memory of it, but something may have imparted that. I'm not saying every person who has that particular birthing experience is going to have that problem. But in this case, there was some kind of sense that there was a relationship between them. So rather than looking at, let's look at homeopathic remedy for asthma, and then a different homeopathic remedy for IBS, and then a different homeopathic remedy for claustrophobia, we say, well, let's look at this person who's got these problems. And I managed to find a homeopathic medicine that worked with most of her important symptoms, what makes them better, what makes them worse, that sort of stuff, and prescribed that. She had 1 tablet a day of a middle-of-the-road sort of homeopathic potency, and she started to get better. And it's about 6 months on now. I've had 4 consultations, and she reported last time I saw her as being 90% better, which is great. So that's the sort of thing we deal with as homeopaths. So if you see ill people today, think of Alastair Hay. Thank you.